Hello everyone and welcome to the last King of the Hill match that I have, and hopefully this match does not disappoint. Here we see the blue Zerg spawning here at what I'll call the 8 o'clock position. His name sounds like Casilla, but I don't quite know what team he's from. But so far this 9-game King of the Hill series has been has just been a lot of fun to watch, and really looking forward to it, as I remember that I do need to go ahead and turn that off. Now, the Red Terran player in the last game playing very well, winning the game economically, even though he lost somewhere around 50 workers. The Blue Terran player was unable to set up any true natural or any fourth base and mine from it for a very long time. If you guys didn't watch that game, that was a great game. It went back and forth. Definitely go ahead and check it out. But right now, let's focus on the game at hand. So far, from what I see here, I think I have cast a game on this map before, but I don't quite know the names of all the maps, and especially since the name of the map was in Korean when I finally downloaded it, I cannot let you know what it is. So hopefully some of you guys out there will let me know the name of the map. I do have more Warcraft 3 casting to do as well right after this, so almost a 2-hour day in terms of casting, followed by some more time encoding and uploading for your guys' viewing pleasure. Drone now looking to get some damage onto that SCV. The SCV was able to avoid the drone though, as we are getting up a hatchery here at the natural expansion. So far, Zerg if it's been a traditional game, Zerg has pretty much been dominating in this King of the Hill series, as a lot of the Zerg players that we've seen really know how to handle the standard harassment techniques. The only time I've actually remember seeing a Zerg lose so far is when it was up against 4 Void Rays or 6 Banshees, your unconventional strategies where the Zerg player gets a little bit caught off guard and really not able to respond or react to accordingly. Marines now going to make their way over here. Nope, doesn't look like it's going to do that. The Marine now finally making its way over, going to get some easy damage onto that Extractor. I guess a little bit of target practice as the Marine dancing forward. The Extractor will not get completed, most likely just get cancelled and rebuilt. Rinse and repeat, and continue to do so until you can deny gas and not really lose that many minerals. There is an Overlord parked off over here at the 11 o'clock position. It's going to slowly fly in and perhaps park itself here and keep track of when the natural expansion is established. SCV now wandering around on the inside. Metabolic boost has been started. Extractor overmined in terms of gas just a little bit, as now the Zerg player is really going to heavily focus on getting a lot of queens. Command center being built down by the Red Terran, so Terran looking to expand. A very traditional build now, and I don't know if this harassment technique will be effective enough to really stop a Zerg. The Reactor Hellion play, pretty much standard play now, as Zerg players have gotten 1 spine crawler. Most likely that will be the spine crawler there. Yep, and then perhaps getting an evolution chamber here or an evolution chamber here to prevent any sort of easy drive-bys. There are Marines now on the low ground, but that Overlord is parked in a position where even a Reaper cannot see it, as this is untraversable terrain. And now Hellions finally making a move across the map. There is one SCV sitting at the Zelnaga Tower. No units sitting at this Zelnaga Tower here. But the Hellions are not going to really deal any damage. All they can really hope to do is to deny creep. Hellions going up against a Zergling. Zergling gets taken down in just a flash. And now the Hellions looking to perhaps run around the far side. Able to do that. Nope, taking a little bit of damage there and now backing off once more. Zerglings are still dancing across the map, as we are now getting into 4 Hellions. 4 Hellions definitely better than 2. A bunker now being established down here on the low ground, and we'll see what these Hellions are able to do. Perhaps they're going to try to get up that ramp, but there is nothing, there is no way for Red to know that there is nothing really at the top of the ramp, and the Hellions could have an easy drive up there if they did so choose. More and more Hellions still being added. The Zerglings could perhaps just charge down that ramp, right in between this fog of war area here, as the Hellions are now trying to deny and was able to take down a drone that was attempting to grow up and be an evolution chamber. Hellions still dancing around. And the Zerglings are now going to perhaps try to slip by here. There are Marines, but they are not inside a bunker. They need to go inside that bunker. Not good news. Are the Marines going to fall? Yes, all the Marines fall. And that was a horrible, horrible mistake by Red. Red now forced to and perhaps salvage this bunker. Yes, he will be salvaging that bunker, but taking a lot more damage than he would normally, canceling that supply depot here. He's trying to absorb damage wherever he can, as the Hellions are now trying to catch up to those Zerglings. The Zerglings a little bit of a head start, able to run away. Hellions now looking to come back down around here. I don't think the units will be able to get ahead of him. No, they won't, as the Zerglings, some of them do get torched, a little bit more damage taken. And now Zerglings going to perhaps try to take down some of these Hellions. This one Hellion taking a lot more damage than it should, down to 5 hit points, and there it goes. 46 over 46 compared to 59 over 60. The Red Terran player now supply blocked, sitting on close to, or at one point was sitting on close to 700 to 800 resources. And that may be the tipping point. A definite advantage now for Casilla, as Casilla is up on 2 bases. He should have a harvester advantage, just 43 drones versus 33 SCVs. And that was just a little bit of a mental break for the Red Terran player. If the 4 Marines were inside the bunker, a lot of those Zerglings would have been destroyed. Perhaps Hellions would have been able to make their way over as well, and it would have been a completely different game. Hellions still being repaired. SCV now looking to establish the 3rd base here at the 11 o'clock position. But still we see the Red Terran player down by about 25 food, as we are now macroing into a very heavy Roach army. 8 Roaches now being added. We'll see how this is all going to work. The Zerglings are off over here. We are getting up that 3rd base. Engineering bay being established. Hellions are going to try to perhaps drive in around, and they are going to spot this hatchery. Meanwhile, Marines do spot that there is an Overlord here, and they're going to shoot down this Overlord finally. The medevac providing sight up onto the high ground, and now we see an SCV catching sight of all of these Roaches coming back in. The Hellions have to be very, very careful. They need to get back home in a hurry, as there are also Banelings, and if they run into the Banelings, that will be a very, very bad day indeed, as the front door is not yet established. More and more Banelings going to be hatched. The Marines going up against Banelings. Yes, they do stim, turn around, able to clean up some of those Banelings, and now retreating back all the way inside. We see that the Hellions are trying to go after some of those Banelings, as they do have superior range, and torching those Banelings before they even splash anything. Supply depots are going to get taken down. The Marines now trying to fight back. Hellions going up against Roaches, but this is splitting up the army. Not quite sure why the Marines are not engaging here, as they really need to stay together to destroy all of those Roaches. This was a key advantage. Red could have taken down multiple Roaches, and it looks like they can still do exactly that. The Roaches do not have glial reconstitution, which means that the Marines can take down multiple Roaches here, but the medevacs were a little bit too slow. SCV is now absorbing some of that damage, and now the Roaches trying to fire back. We are at 78 food versus 93. And things are not looking good any longer, being forced to just chase all the way. I believe the Marines and the medevacs were off here instead of right here, and the Marines with superior range should have definitely engaged. We are now upgrading to a planetary fortress at the 11 o'clock position. If this planetary fortress does get up and running, it will be very difficult to break, but we now see that there is also a Nidus network coming in. The Nidus network is going to change things up heavily, as the Overlord has already been positioned off over here for the Nidus worm. Siege tank up on the high ground, no siege tech though, but even with a range of 7, still able to push back many of those units. Perfect position for a Nidus worm down here. That will be a very, very bad day, as we now see the Marines and the Marauders attempting to pull back once more. Siege tank is up on the high ground, able to get off one quick shelling, taking down 2 Zerglings there. And now the planetary fortress has been spotted by the Zerg. Roaches now making their way over. SCVs just continuing to mine. Marines waiting for an attack, as we also see a medevac. Does the medevac spot the Overlord? It should have spotted the Overlord, but it will not be able to do anything at all. Zergling's now going to get underneath that medevac and prevent it from unloading whatsoever. There is also a spine crawler rerouting itself, as we now see a large push out from the center. One poor Zergling gonna get taken down there. Nidus network. I still do not see a Nidus worm anywhere on the map as the roaches are in position. Zerglings are already off over here. The Marines have to be very careful. The Marine needs to be picked back up. And now, here we go. 4 medevacs, Marines and Marauders now coming back in. But the Zerglings are going to be able to catch all of these units out of position. Banelings are going to find their target and start splashing straight up into this group, melting many of those Marines there. Units trying to be saved. Is it going to be able to be saved? No, unable to be saved, as the Marines are now simply going to try to walk into this base here. Still, Terran player is sitting on a lot of siege tanks and a lot of units back at home. He really cannot afford to attack with a split army. Roaches are down here ready to respond. Spine crawlers and a queen able to take care of that. Zerglings getting underneath that medevac. The medevac will not be able to unload, as there is now a 25 food advantage for the blue Zerg. Terran looking to see what they can do. There are now Banelings being morphed in the middle of the field. 23 Banelings to be exact, as the Marines and the Marauders are going to try to clean this up, but the Banelings are going to finish in time. Are they going to be able to destroy some of these Banelings? No, they're not going to be able to do, as the Marines are now backing off. I believe 1 or 2 Banelings were able to be destroyed, but still not quite enough in terms of numbers, as the Banelings, Zerglings still trying to swarm in. The medevac siege tanks up on the high ground, detonating many of those Banelings remotely. And we'll see what will happen next, as we are now going into a Doom Drop. Doom Drop straight up inside the main base. The Marines need to get back over there, and in a hurry. Marines are already coming out, but is it going to be enough, as the Roaches, Banelings are finding their way amongst all the main production buildings? A Nidus Worm now being established off over here. It looks like that will finish, as so many Roaches and Zerglings are now inside the main base. Marines trying to fight back, as the Zerg have broken through the front door and simply by flying over the door, as now Banelings are just simply charging in. The Nidus Worm still unloading more and more units, as the Roaches are just have a simple free hall pass inside the base. And I believe that will be GG, as the Roaches take down the production buildings. There is not much that Terran can do in order to fight back against this army inside here. The siege tanks will be able to blast apart some of those Roaches. All the Roaches now need to do is simply retreat. No, they're going to go up straight up against those siege tanks down on the low ground. Perhaps drop them straight down on the low ground. Nicely played, in even trying to get within that 0 firing range in the midst of a very, very large drop. Roaches still pushing in. Another siege tank going to get taken down. And there we go. There is the GG. Beautifully played, beautifully executed. Terran versus Zerg. And Zerg just was able to swarm all over the place, and I think it really came down to that one moment here where the Marines were not inside the bunker. A supply depot wasn't able to be finished, and with that, the Terran player ended up having a lot of minerals and gas in the bank, close to about 900 resources, while being supply blocked. So that just tipped everything in favor for Casilla, as Casilla was able to get up on 3 bases and then simply out macro and out strategize his opponent. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.